Hi,
That's
I'm
good.
Andrea,
I'm Ashley,
and welcome to.
two therapists and a cocktail, keeping it real.
Y'all like the music? We upgrading every time. Every
I
time. Every
love it.
time.
I
I
love it. We
loved it
just
too.
groove it.
So, y'all, welcome to February, the month of
I
love, I
know.
guess. Okay, so January flew by.
Too
It's
fast.
like, and it always seems like that is the longest month. Like I always feel like January takes forever to finish.
Yes.
But it seemed like it went
Yes.
like that. I'm
It
grateful
went
because
fast.
because hopefully February has that same energy and it goes by really fast.
Okay. Okay. But then if you say that, Andrea,
It's
then
gonna
the
go
the
slow.
whole year gonna go by fast. We just started. We just started.
You right. You right. You right. You right. You right
we gonna
about it.
have to
So what
we
do
gonna
you
have to
drink?
truly live in the moment. We gonna have to truly live in the moment the way these days and
We need to.
months. Yeah,
You right.
yeah.
You right. Because we're gonna wake up and be old.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm not here for that. Because I'm too young and I'm thriving. It's the best time of my
Yes.
life. Hmm.
Yes. But what am I
Yeah.
drinking?
What you
So I
drinking?
have a lovely
Mm.
pink lemonade vodka, which with
Mm.
orange juice and a little
Mm.
strawberry garnish, and it is
Okay.
wonderful. What you
Come
got?
on. I got a little Mai Tai situation with some
Ooh.
pineapple rum. Yes. Now, see, I didn't mix this myself. This is thanks to the Bartesian. Tried to
Okay.
upgrade my bar experience. I got some little
Yes.
strawberries to garnish. It's not very strong though, so I'm kind of
Yeah.
disappointed. I feel like I added too much water. Like this is it's giving me very much punch. Punch with no punch. That's what it's giving me. So I'm needing something else a little later.
Well, when I come to Houston, I'm gonna
Hmm.
need some of that.
Girl, and it'll bless you. It'll bless. Yep.
I need
So what we talking about today, girl?
Girl, we got a good topic tonight.
Mm.
In the name of love and February and Valentine's, we are
Mhm.
talking about relationship fantasy tonight, the
Mm.
magical world of distraction.
My goodness. My
Mm-mm-mm.
goodness.
What a
I
topic.
love that. What a topic. And I love, but more than love and see this is kind of shady of me, but I don't care. I love drama even more. When there is just like a situation that has to do like with relationships, I thrive off of that because I just be wanting to piece
Yeah,
stuff apart and be like, "Ooh, what's showing
yeah,
up here? Why is it showing up? What is your
yeah,
relationship vibe? What have been your patterns over the year?" I love talking about this and all of the things that
yes,
influence us. And so,
yes,
since we're talking about like relationships and all of that, why not talk about maybe I don't know the poster child for love, right?
yeah.
Disney,
Ooh,
Disney, Disney,
Disney,
right? Now
Disney, yes.
we don't want to get sued, right? So we're not gonna like talk intensely about any Disney stuff. We're just gonna talk about some of the themes that maybe we've seen in some of their
Yeah,
movies. So
yeah.
so first, before we get into it, what is your favorite Disney movie?
Ooh, child. I rem so, ooh, I love Disney since I was a kid. I just have to say that. And
Hmm.
disclaimer, y'all. These are our opinions.
Thank you.
You don't have to agree with them, but these are our opinions from our lens. And we just so
Hmm.
happen to be therapists, so we gonna dive deep with it.
There we go.
But my favorite movie from Disney
Hmm.
was The Little Mermaid. Was The
Mm.
Little Mermaid. I even had me a Little Mermaid party when I was a
That's
kid.
cute. That's cute.
My
That's
my
cute.
parents hired a
That's cute.
lady. She was Ariel.
No, you
I
didn't have
had
Ariel.
I did. I had the Ariel bed sheets.
Girl,
I
girl.
Big Little Mermaid.
Listen. Listen,
Mm-hmm.
listen. If you had the bed sheets and the sleeping bag, you were a Disney fan because I remember I had that Aladdin sleeping bag. That thing
Ooh,
took it with me everywhere. I was
yes.
deeply in love with it. Um, my
Yeah.
favorite Disney movie was Beauty and the Beast, and it still is.
Oh,
Like there's
I
something
love
about
Beauty
it.
and the
It
Beast.
just warms my heart, and I
Yeah.
love the live action. I love the cartoon. I just love it all, and
Yeah.
it's amazing. Now as I'm older, I'm like, this is toxic. But I
Yeah.
loved it. I really did love it. And I don't know why we loved these things so much. I guess that's the magic of Disney, right?
It is.
Uh,
Yeah.
but what do you think are some of those common themes that Disney really perpetuates in like a lot of those movies?
Girl, this idea of love at first sight,
Ciao.
honey, you sure it ain't lust at first sight? You fine and all,
It might
but
be.
honey, I don't know you. I don't know you.
Right. Right. Right.
I don't know you
Right.
from a can of paint, but you fine though.
But you fine. You fine. Take me prisoner. Yeah, very much so. Very much so. And I think there's also like this theme of everything's gonna work out. It's gonna be happily ever after. Like,
Yeah.
or there has to
Yeah.
be like some great disdain for your partner. Like when you first meet them, like you're like, oh, they're cute, but I don't like you. And then it's
Yeah.
like magically wonderful. And I think that's
Right.
even like true in like those live action films by,
Yeah.
some of these big name movies. It's like,
Yeah.
why do you have to dislike the person that you're going to get in a relationship with? And it's just so. I think we love, just like I said, like, I really like the drama of like piecing apart like relationships and all that. I think we find
Yeah.
that captivating. We love the
I
drama.
think we do. I think we do.
We love the
This
drama.
idea of
Hmm.
like what's that song that's going on TikTok? Oh, this is love.
Hmm.
You know I can't sing. Oh, this is
Hmm.
love. It just
Hmm.
it just feels magical. Like,
It does.
oh, I could just
It does.
meet this wonderful prince, you know?
Hmm. Hmm.
And also another
Hmm.
common theme is true love's kiss. So the minute
Girl,
I kiss you, it's true
it
love.
should pop off. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
just, we're just meant to be together because I gave you a kiss. What if
Hmm.
the kiss wasn't even all that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But okay, but low key, like, and
Yeah.
this might be random, but have
Hmm.
we not like second guessed whether our person should be our person? Like, if they kiss was bad,
Yes. Yes.
I
Yes.
personally am not with someone who did not kiss, and we have been married. But I have
Yeah.
dumped somebody who can't kiss because, and I think it
Yeah.
is because of this. Like, we should feel something. It should be magical. Like there should be a spark
Yeah.
or something. Now,
Yeah.
is that right? No, but I think that's also very realistic. That
Yeah.
we really do have those questionable ideas, and I think that's one thing that's kind of tricky. Like, do we allow themes that we find in Disney? Do we allow themes that we see
Mm.
in the media really influence like our thoughts about how we go into a romantic relationship? Because that's difficult.
Yeah, it is. And y'all, it's not just Disney. It's
Hmm.
the media in general. The media is
Hmm.
prevalent and influential in American
Hmm.
culture. Let's keep it
Hmm.
real. So that's
Hmm.
not just movies. That's radio. That's
Yeah.
books, the news,
Yeah.
magazines. Like
Hmm.
it's really influential in how
Hmm.
we look at our relationships.
Hmm.
You
Yeah.
know, yeah.
Now, since you mentioned that, I was talking to like a few of my girlfriends about this topic, and something that
Hmm.
came up for them was, but do we think that the media is romanticizing relationships or deterring us from
Mm,
relationships? Because
mm,
oftentimes like we see a mix of both, like based off of like
yeah,
who we're following, right? And so sometimes like if you like a lot of things like on TikTok, they're going to read your content and they're going to figure out what to kind of spin your way, right? And
yeah,
sometimes like it can be very negative. It's about like, oh, so and so's leaving so and so, and this is why relationships don't work, like, and this is why I
Yeah.
left my husband, and all of these things like that. But then if we switch back to Instagram, where we might follow more of our friends that are very
Right.
uplifting, that might be in
Hmm.
successful, to our eyes, successful romantic relationships, we might see a completely different picture. And so I
Right.
think even in that, we get very mixed views on what to accept as truth. And
That
I
is true.
think it is outlandish to believe that the media doesn't influence us. Like, the things
Right.
that we're wearing, the things, the way that we're talking, the topic that we're even talking about is
Yeah.
very influenced by media.
Yeah. And if we go back to what you were saying, like, we see these celebrities and their lives, which we really
Hmm.
don't know these people, but
At
the
all.
media make you feel like you know them. And then you
Hmm.
actually have our friends, real people that are on social media. Sometimes our friends don't be telling the truth either.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, they taking
Nope.
pictures, they look happy. They went to Jamaica. They may have even went to Italy.
Hmm.
But we know, listen, it ain't all what it looks like.
No. And it never is. And it
Yeah,
never is. Someone could have
yeah.
just gotten in an argument with their boo before they took
Hmm.
their picture.
That is
Someone
so
could
true.
have, like, be on the brink of divorce, and they're taking that trip as a last, like, maybe the trip will help us
Right,
or something. Maybe we need to just get away. And you never
right,
really know, like, what to accept as truth or what to make your couple goals. And I
right.
think, like, it's so hard to, like, separate your values from everything that everyone has told you to be true, and not
Yeah,
like explicitly told you to be true, but what they show you. Just like in Disney, like, maybe we're waiting for that magical moment. Maybe we're waiting on someone to find us in a bookstore. Like, maybe we're
yeah,
waiting for that perfect kiss to happen. And then when those things don't happen, we begin to question whether we're putting out enough of good energy. And it
right.
brings forth self doubt and all of those things.
Yeah,
So, if you could even give a piece of advice on what someone should do to, like, make those values their own without all of these influences, what would you even
yeah.
say?
I would say, what is it that you want
Hmm.
out of like this person or even a relationship? Not what society says to look for, because honey,
Hmm.
that gonna get you caught up every time,
Every
doing
time.
what society and what other people tell you to do. So maybe
Hmm.
sit down and really think about, okay, what is it that I'm looking for? Because every
Yeah.
relationship is different. What I
Yeah.
might have in my relationship might be different in your relationship, you
Hmm.
know? So really sit down and think, what is it that I'm looking for? Or what is it that
Yeah.
I need? Or what's
Yeah.
going to make this relationship sustainable? That's
Yeah.
the key.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's going to make this sustainable?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. And I,
Because I really
yeah.
think that the way, not to cut you off, sorry, the way
Mm-mm.
Disney portrays it is like, oh, we're gonna live this happily ever after,
Hmm.
but what happens after we get married? It's not just rainbows, butterflies, sprinkles, and unicorns.
A mess. Hmm.
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you really, like, like, look at, like, those movies or anything like that, they don't talk about their first fight. They don't talk about, like, having different values. Like, a lot of times these people come from
Right.
different lands. Like,
Yeah.
all of these people come from different lands. Like, you don't think they're
Yeah.
gonna have different values? Like, Beauty and
Right.
the Beast and Belle. Belle, low key, was probably poor. Like, her
Yeah.
father was just over here
Yeah.
creating all the time and didn't even
Right.
realize that some abuser was trying to marry his child.
Guess girl.
And literally, Eric and Ariel, y'all are from different lands.
Girl, you a
She
different
she
species.
she barely know how to breathe on land. Okay,
Right.
she is
Right.
going to have some different values than you, and I think that's another
Yeah.
thing. Like, we have to be willing to have the conversation about how having different values does not necessarily mean it's a recipe for your relationship not to work, but you have to
Right.
value each other's differences. And
Right.
for some cases that works.
Yeah.
But for other
Yeah.
cases that doesn't work. And it's okay to walk away.
Yeah.
And if we really want to get into it, a lot of us are falling in love with people
Mm-hmm.
who are from different lands than us, but we are
Yeah.
trying to merge them into being part of a person who was originally from our land. For example,
Right.
like I think a lot of times, whew, we fall in love with somebody's potential, but
Oh,
not who they actually are.
say it again.
Okay? We are falling in love with
Mm.
someone's potential, but not with what they are showing us. And
Yes.
I'm sorry y'all. I'm going to have to make some of y'all a little uncomfortable. Some
Yeah.
of y'all are so in love with being in love that you don't even realize you are trying to create the perfect person. You are
Right.
trying to you are trying to change your partner by the way that they dress. You're trying to change the way that they think. But
Mm-hmm.
you are going to realize that all of that work that you put into them, that doesn't make them authentic because that's not their
Right.
authentic self. You
That's
have
not them.
that's not them. That's not
Right.
them. And then you're mad when your friends peep this, when your friends peep it, and they're like, "Who is this? Why do
Right.
who is this person?" Like,
Right.
and you're mad
Yeah.
because you've created this persona of a person who's not real, and everybody can see it. And you're like, "But my
Right.
masterpiece, like I love them." Why?
But see, that's it, right? It is not up to you to change anyone.
No.
And the last time I checked, when you try to do that, you end up getting the person that you don't even love because the person isn't really being their authentic self.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think that's another thing too, because if you think about Beauty and the Beast, it's this idea that in order for him to not be the beast anymore and to become that prince again, Belle has to do something. Isn't Be- wasn't it that Belle had to give him a
She
kiss?
had to
They had
love
to
him
fall in
first. Yeah.
love. She had to
They had to
love
fall in
him
love.
first,
Had to love him in
and
his
then
bestiality
bestiality for him to change.
for him to change.
It's
But
like,
see, the
honey,
thing is,
accept him for who he
he
is.
was
He a
he
beast.
he was a beast on the inside before. They just brought out his natural being. If we really want to go there, they just brought out his natural being, his soul, and put it on
Yes.
the outside. He was always a beast.
Yes.
He was always a jerk. He was always
Yes.
terrible to people.
Yes. And I
If
think
we really
that's
want to,
it shows that when a man or even any person, when a person wants to change, they need to change for themselves, not for other people. And you can't change nobody.
you
You know how many times I've
can't.
tried to do that in past relationships?
That
Oh,
part.
I just need to love him. I just need to change him.
No, you don't.
Girl, you set
You
yourself
be
up every
you
time.
be working forever. You be
Exactly.
working
Tired,
forever.
burnt.
Forever.
Yes.
And I think another thing with this is like with falling in love, like I think we get so excited about the notion, like, oh my God, I can't wait to fall in love. I can't wait to do these things. I can't wait. I can't wait. But then in the midst of that, we end up settling. And I say this out of
Yeah.
experience because my parents got married when my parents were like 19, 23. And so they met at college, and my dad was like a senior. My mom was a freshman. My mom was out there. She was pulling them. I said, okay, girl. And
Okay,
because of
mama.
this, girl, Lord. And because of this, like, I had in my mind, like, okay, if I go to the same college campus, I'm going to get married at 19. I'm going to meet the love of my life. We're going to get married. We're going to have this great life. And
Yeah.
because I had this notion, I was going to do anything to make it happen. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of times, like, that has a lot to do with your influence, like, seeing someone who's influential in your life and trying to mimic that. And it has a lot to do with how you love yourself. Like not
Yeah,
thinking that life can be worthwhile without getting married. Note to the wise, it can. It
it
can
can.
be.
It can be, yes.
And and so when I got like to the college campus, when I tell you I was looking for a husband, I said, okay, him? No, okay, I don't like him. And I was like, okay. And then I was like, him? Maybe him. Maybe him. No. And then I just,
You were
and then I ended,
fishing, girl.
girl,
Fishing.
and I was fishing. I don't need to be looking for a husband. Listen, your partner needs to be looking for you. Okay? He need to look for you. And I was looking and I was trying to make things fit. And even my
Yeah.
friends were like, I don't really like him for you because your friends will know you. Your friends know you.
Yes. Yeah.
They know the good side of you, they know the bad side of you, and they know what you don't like. And they know what
Yeah.
irritates you. And I've
Yeah.
always been irritated by disrespect.
Mm,
But I let a
yeah.
lot of those things slide because I was so focused on my vision of like, I'm gonna get married. But then at
Yeah.
some point I was like, okay, maybe I can wait. Maybe I can wait on that. And listen, that
And
journey
it's
didn't
okay to
stop
wait,
for
y'all.
it is okay to wait
Don't
until you find
rush.
something you actually like. And
Yes.
and granted, like you're not going to meet like this perfect partner that has everything. Like obviously
Right.
I did not end up marrying somebody who was 6'2". But that's fine because some
Yeah.
things are negotiable, really. Some things are
Yeah.
just like I don't really need that. Like that's not necessary. And you really
Yeah.
have to think about stuff like that. Like when you're going into like your relationship with someone, don't think about like this huge unrealistic experience that you think you want to have. Be very realistic with yourself. And if it
Yeah.
means demeaning your values, if it means removing some of your values from your real wants, then you really need to second guess that. Second guess
I
that
agree.
move.
I agree.
Especially, and then my last thing, like when you get to a space where you are no longer connecting with your village because of a relationship, and I think that's another thing that Disney
Hmm.
low key be doing. A lot of times when they be having these unrealistic romantic relationships, they ain't got no friends.
You right
These
about
people,
that.
these people ain't got no friends.
You
So
are
that
right
should tell you.
about that.
So that should tell you something. If you're in a romantic
Yeah.
relationship and you don't be talking to your homies like that, the way that you used to,
You right. You right. But you know what, Andrew? Since we're as you guys know, we always keep it real. I got to say this. Disney caters to little girls. Disney caters to us women. We're the group, we're the population that they're targeting with these movies. And like we said, we love watching these movies. We grew
yeah,
up on them. But when you get older and you start looking at them from an adult lens, you start realizing, wait a minute, Belle got Stockholm syndrome.
that part.
Who marries or loves the person that took your father and took you?
It took you. You were
Who
a
does
barter.
that?
They were bartering. Okay.
Exactly. Who does that?
And
Or
yeah,
let me add this. When you
yeah.
think about Sleeping Beauty and Snow White, first of all, who are these men that has to kiss me in order to wake up? First of all, I don't know what you got.
That
Second of all, I don't even know you, and it takes for you to kiss me in order to wake up. I don't know how I feel about that.
let's talk about how some of y'all are sleeping through your relationships right now. Some of y'all are sleeping right through them. Y'all are letting
Take a
your
drink, Steph.
partner, you're letting your partner take complete control of your whole relationship. Anything you
Ooh.
say, oh, just kiss me, I'll agree. I'll follow you. I'll follow you into the sunset. because you are so your hands are just like, I need it. Why? And
Yeah.
maybe that's what you should think about. Why do you need it? Why do you need that relationship? Will that
Right.
make you thrive? Will that make you
Right.
arrive at this status that you think exists? First of all, what status? What
Right.
and honestly, like, because we have shifted so far from, this decades of like the 60s and the 50s where like maybe women had to get married for some type of financial
Right.
stability. We're past
Right.
that. We are past that now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you are now at a time where it's like, get married? Sure. Don't have to,
Right.
but you can. You can if you
It's a
want to.
choice. There's not
Yeah.
a
So
must.
so what is that
Yeah.
need? What is that desire? And it's crazy
Yeah.
because this is coming from a married person. And I am just like, what do you feel that need is? Because whatever
Mm.
you think exists, it doesn't. It doesn't exist. It's not a necessary requirement for you to feel better about yourself.
You know what, Andrew? I'm glad you said that because y'all, I might as well just say it. I'm gonna be 35 in March. I'm not married. I don't have any children. But the minute I hit 30, the
Mm,
questions that I get, when are you getting married? You ain't ready
mm-hmm.
to have children. You go to the gynecologist. The time is ticking. You only have but so much years until, you can't have children or your pregnancy will become a risk. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, can I breathe? Can
Mm-hmm.
I just live my life?
Mm-hmm.
I'm in a wonderful relationship, a wonderful, healthy relationship,
That
and
part.
it is going great. And it's
Mm-hmm.
not that we don't have conversations about marriage, but we're
Mm-hmm.
also not rushing each other. That's another
And
thing, ladies.
don't.
Do not rush a man to marry you. That ain't never a good idea.
Nope.
That ain't never a good idea. But
No.
I think okay, this needs to be said. You need to find your happy.
In
And
you.
in you and your happiness.
Mm-hmm.
It's not finding happiness in other people. It's
Mm.
finding happiness in you. Because if that
In
person
you.
decide to break up with you or walk out your life, what you gonna do?
Right.
Now your whole
Right.
world is crumbled and
Because
you
you
feel
built
like you
it
can't live
in
without them.
them. Yep.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. You have to find
Mm-hmm.
your own happy. And
You
so
do.
I think that Disney makes us girls or women feel like you find true happiness when you with this man or with
Mm-hmm.
anybody. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you find happiness and just love when you with this person. But what about self-love? Isn't
Yeah.
that important?
Yeah.
Isn't that
And
the first
that
love?
should be
Like,
the, and we've talked about this. We've talked about how
yeah.
you are not going to experience this great love if you don't love yourself first. And that's the very first thing. And that's for a number of
Yes.
reasons. Number one, if you don't portray like you love yourself, I guarantee you are most likely going to be in a relationship with a disrespectful person who can get
Okay.
away with everything. And I mean
Cuz you ain't got
everything.
no boundaries.
You have zero boundaries, and you're not even presenting to yourself like you are worth more, because
Yeah.
people can see right through that. Like, they don't love themselves. Look how I can just fling you around. And
Right.
your emotions will always be at a high when you don't
Yeah.
love yourself and you're in a romantic relationship. For example, when you first get into this relationship, what do? You're in the honeymoon phase. So everything that they say is sweet and loving and kind.
Yes.
But when they realize that you don't love yourself, they can ride that high and they can begin to
Mhm.
manipulate you. Like,
Exactly.
ooh, she want me or he want me. So because
Yeah.
of that, I'ma leave them in wanting. I'm gonna wait a little bit longer before I text them back. And then you'll find yourself blowing them up, trying to figure out where
Right.
they are, trying to share locations, losing your mind. And then
Right.
that's when we start talking about having unhealthy relationships, because you're chasing after someone who's supposed to be right here with you on the same
Right.
page. Let me
Right.
tell you something. You don't have to chase somebody who's on the same page as you.
Not at all.
Because
Y'all
you
gonna
should
be
just be
right
able to
here.
look. You should be able to look to your left or look
Yes.
to your right or look right in front of you. And they're right
Right.
there. You shouldn't have to
Right.
chase somebody. That's not what love is. And
Mm,
love is also not shifting yourself for somebody. Now, that's not to say you're not to
right.
compromise. There are some things that you compromise on, but you're not shifting your life for somebody
Right.
else. And
Right.
you have to be very careful about that.
And that's not to say, and this is my favorite part about relationships. You're supposed to grow. You're not so not to a relationship shouldn't diminish your light. You shouldn't diminish yourself for anybody. But if you're
Yeah.
in a healthy relationship, you're gonna be growing, and he's gonna be growing, or she's gonna be growing, and y'all gonna be growing together. But if it's a relationship where you're being diminished, or they're diminishing you, that ain't it.
Yeah.
That's not it at all. That's unhealthy.
Yeah.
That's where the toxicity starts coming in,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
And since you said like you should be growing together, one question that I have for you is how do you know
Mhm.
if you're actually growing with somebody or
Mhm.
if you're growing and you're just bringing them along for the ride?
Mm.
How do you know? How do you know like you're not growing
Yeah.
with someone? Like how can you actually determine that?
Because okay, so if I look at my current relationship, I feel like I've grown so much because he motivates me to be, I motivate myself, but he motivates me as well. So for example, we started this podcast, he's championing me on. He's like, "You got this, like you're doing great. I love it." He gives me feedback. If I think about my past relationships, they weren't doing that at all, you know? And then
Yeah.
I also think in those past relationships, I was broken. So if I'm broken, I mean, I got to work on myself. I can't expect them to work on me. But
Yeah.
because I've done the work, he sees that I've done the work. He has no problem supporting me,
Mhm.
and that's where like I see some growth,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think like with that, if it was like you said, like when you're broken, like sometimes like you find yourself like in relationships like where people's interactions with you change. And
Mhm.
I think about like how sometimes people can put in different levels of self-doubt, but it can come off as if they are caring. And you can be like,
Yeah.
well, are you sure you want to do that podcast? Because, sometimes with podcasts, and it can be like that. And it can
Yeah.
come off as, oh, I'm just being real with you. I'm just like providing you with feedback. But you got to be mindful of people who cast too much doubt on you, they're
Right.
raggedy and a hater. And you have to be
Okay.
very careful about like engaging yourself with people like that because then that will make you question your love for yourself.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Or a person that really cares about you, they see that, okay, you definitely have a lot going on.
Mhm.
Maybe right now, us being in a relationship is probably not the best. Instead of, oh, I see what's going on with her, but I'm gonna keep her around anyway, knowing
Yeah.
good and well that y'all being in this relationship is not healthy. It ain't healthy for the both of y'all, and it ain't healthy for that person. But you're holding on to it. That's not allowing that person to grow.
Yeah.
Sometimes, in order to grow, you got to let people go. You got to let people go.
Please.
You got to let
Yeah.
people go heal and do the work. And
And
sometimes you can't do the work in the relationship. You need to do the work outside of the relationship.
do you think that
Yeah.
if people have not healed from their previous relationships that they should be in a relationship?
My personal opinion, no.
Mm.
Because guess why?
Hmm.
If you have not healed, how is the current relationship going to be successful?
That part.
You're going to be bringing on that baggage into the new. How helpful is that?
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
helpful.
Yeah.
And y'all, that's the other thing. Disney shows you, oh, we fell in love and it's happily ever after, but Disney
Hmm.
doesn't show you. So when we argue, what does that look like? How do we
Yeah.
communicate? Do we have the
Yeah.
same values? Do we have a level of understanding? We
Hmm.
don't know none of that.
We don't know what their old partners was like.
Not
And
at all.
and these princes, I know that they done had somebody. They done had a chick or two. So where they
Right.
at? Where they at?
Right.
Cause you didn't
Right.
you didn't stumble upon me, and I'm the first chick that you done dated.
Right.
And that's another thing. Like,
Yeah.
I think that instead of like this talking phase, because I feel like the talking phase can be real cutesy and not very intentional. Like, I think it's
Yeah.
very, 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 if I could give any dating advice, I would say
Yeah.
ask all of the uncomfortable questions during the
Please.
talking stage. Ask all of the
Please.
uncomfortable questions. You need to ask, how many partners have you had? Have
Hmm.
you been on both sides of the spectrum or just one side? And you need to
Yeah.
know before you ask those questions, are they going to make you uncomfortable? Are you, even if this person is perfect for you, are their answers going to change how you look at them? Because if they're
Right.
being transparent, are you going to praise the authenticity, or are you going to be like, I don't like your past? Because we all have a past that's ugly. If we want to
Right.
be real, we all have
Right.
things that have made us not shine the brightest in
Right.
our relationships. Like, we're all ragging in some shape or form, right? And so
Yeah.
you really have to think about that. But another thing that you have to be very intentional about in this talking stage are your, what are your non-negotiables? And granted, like,
Yeah.
there are some people who are out here just dating to date. I am all for dating to date, because sometimes you got to
Yeah.
kiss a couple of frogs before you find your prince, right?
Okay.
Date. Be free. Be
Yeah.
free. And when I say date, I mean the same dating rules for men and women and everybody that fall in between.
That's right.
I might be hanging out with you by Friday, but don't call me on Saturday. We're not exclusive. And I think
Right.
a lot of times that's why some of y'all's feelings be hurt, because you're thinking that you're in an exclusive relationship and
Yeah.
you are not.
You know
So
what, Andrea?
ask about that. Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned that. And
Mhm.
because this shows the difference in culture. So, as I've
Mhm.
mentioned to y'all before, I grew up in Belize in Central America.
Mhm.
The culture is completely different when it comes to dating. Dating for
Mm.
us is when I meet a person and I'm hanging out with this guy all the
Mhm.
time,
Mhm.
we're exclusive. Ain't nobody
What?
dating
Other
Sarah,
people.
Karen, Ashley, Sandy. Ain't nobody
Mm.
doing all of that. Or
Mm.
Eric, Marshawn. Okay? Ain't
Mm.
nobody doing that. If I'm hanging out with you and we like each other, it's exclusive. So when I came to Georgia and I realized that
Girl.
that is what the dating is. Like, you could talk to different people. I was kind of butthurt, like, but I really
Yeah.
like this one
I
guy,
like you though.
but
You gonna see
he's
somebody else and
dating
not me?
other people. I,
Raggedy.
that caught me up. That caught me up. But
Girl.
that's why you need to have these conversations
Have
and
them.
talk.
Please.
It's
And
essential,
some of y'all so scared of hurting feelings, but your feelings are gonna be hurt if you don't
girl.
have this conversation.
You
So
know
you
how
gonna either
many
have it at the
times
beginning or the end.
You know how many times I've had conversations, not just with clients, but with other people about, but this is really getting on my nerves, but I don't, I don't know how to have a conversation about this. And I'm thinking, and I always say, okay, this is getting on your nerves and you're not going to have a conversation. So why are y'all in a relationship?
That part.
You're, and then the thing is, you're expecting this relationship to go to the next level whether that's marriage or whatever it is you think the next level is, but you're not
Mm-hmm.
willing to have a conversation about it,
Problems.
how are y'all gonna
Problems.
get there? And then when you
You're
get
not.
there, you still not gonna have a conversation because you just don't want to hurt feelings? So how is this relationship supposed to evolve? I don't know
Not.
where the growth is going to be coming in if we don't have the difficult conversations now,
It's not.
because you
It's not.
can't move around it. You
No.
just can't. You have to
No.
have the conversation.
You have to. And be very clear in these conversations. Like we were saying, like a lot of times people tippy toe around things. And they're like, ooh, I really need to be political in how I ask these questions. If this supposed to be your partner, your rider, your homie, your lover, your friend, your everything, you better ask that question as raw as possible. Because
Okay.
when you're very political in how you ask questions, they're gonna be political in their response.
They sure will.
Because it's gonna be like, well, you didn't ask me specifically if I cheated on my third girlfriend. You asked me if I was a cheater. No, 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 no. You need to go get raw, get dirty with it. Like ask those questions
Yeah,
because that's what matters. Like these are
that's what
building blocks to
matters.
what your relationship is going to be.
That's right.
So stop having
Yeah.
these unrealistic conversations because then you're going to find yourself in an unrealistic Disney relationship.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another thing too, I think we have to bring up with Disney. Y'all, we
Yeah.
need to stop this princess mentality. Because Disney portrays that, you know, we're born to
Mm-hmm.
just be taken care of. We're just a damsel in distress. We can't do nothing for ourselves. And we just have to wait for this knight in shining armor of a man to just come and save me. That's
Mm-hmm.
not even realistic
No. No. But you know
at
what?
all.
You know what? Maybe it is. Maybe it is for some. There are
Okay.
some men out here that believe they are a knight in shining armor.
Honey, a
And
God's gift
you
to women.
hello. And you will find yourself in a relationship with such. And this is, again, where that self love is necessary. Because if you're
Yeah.
not careful, you'll be like, oh, he's so chivalrous. Oh, he's so this. He's so that. And then if you get some pushback, he's like, no, baby. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. I'm the man. I'll steer us in the right direction. Then you got to be
Yeah.
very careful about your partner who does not value your opinion or your voice or your
Okay.
pushback. You are not
Okay.
a damsel in distress. If you act weak, they gonna treat you like you're weak. So get yourself
And
together.
where you staring me at? Are you staring me down a ditch?
To hell.
Where you staring me to? Did we have a conversation about that?
Nowhere good.
I mean, I
Nowhere
don't mind
good.
a man that can lead, okay?
And that's the
But
difference.
let
Yes.
me let me know where we're going at least.
And can you provide some clarity for some of our listeners out here the difference between leading and control?
Ooh,
Ooh.
honey.
Ooh, when it
A
came out my
control
mouth, I was like,
ooh,
ooh.
a controlling man don't care about your opinion. He probably don't even value your opinion, and he probably don't even value you.
Oof.
You know? Like, nobody should be controlling you, what you eat, what you wear, where you're going. But then when you ask him where he's going, that ain't none of your business. What you asking me for? But you ask me about my business.
That part.
That ain't okay. But a man that
Yeah.
leads, what I mean by that is he will lead you, and he may even make the final decision, but honey, he gonna ask you about your opinion because
That
he
part.
values you.
Yeah. Yeah. He's gonna
A man
collaborate
that
with you.
values you cares about your well-being. That's the difference between you could add to it, Andrew. That for me, that's the difference between leading and
Yeah.
controlling.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I agree. Oh, I agree. I'm here for that. I don't need to
Leave
add
me
time.
all day then, sir. You can
Leave
leave me
me.
all
Don't
day.
control me. And I think like
Yeah.
another thing that we also have to consider is like if
Hmm.
you feel like you had to protect a man's ego, but he doesn't
Mm.
protect your worth, your value,
Hmm.
none of that, you're in a toxic relationship and you need to actually
Yeah.
readjust some things. And I know that, you know, we've talked a lot about grasping and holding on to this idea that you have to get married, that you have to be with somebody. But
Yeah.
sometimes the person that you have to be with the most is you. And you'll find yourself
Yeah.
feeling more free, feeling more loved, and all of that. Like, we don't have to present this picture for anybody because you're the one who
Right.
has to live it. You're the one who has to
That's
live
right.
that. And you're going to be so stuck on having this man that's 6'2", having this picturesque like
Yeah.
person, having this person who has this job, having this person who's in all of these different programs, so that when you take a picture with him, people think, oh, look at them. They're so happy. They're so loving. They're so
Hmm.
wonderful. They're so beautiful. But inside, you
Right.
are gaslit all of the time. You are cheated
That's it
on
right there.
all of the time. He is
Yeah.
disrespectful all of the time.
Yes.
You haven't talked to your friends for months. Like, you have
Right.
all of these problems, but
Yeah.
you are holding on. You're holding on to this picture, but you'd rather live in hell for the sake of a picture. And so
You
you
know,
need to
I'm
think,
glad you
yeah,
said that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm
Hmm.
glad you said that because they may not like us after this, Andrea, but that's okay.
I know.
We
I
speaking
know.
our truth.
Yeah.
But this idea of the list that women have to have, honey, you may
Hmm.
need to get rid of that list
Yeah.
because a lot of it is what you're saying. The picturesque, he got to be 6'2" and fine or chocolatey or light skin or
Hmm.
this or that. How about treats you well,
That part.
wants to have wonderful conversations with you, is concerned about your well-being, wants to
Yeah.
meet your family and know your family, wants to be
Hmm.
involved in your culture if y'all are from different cultures.
Yeah.
What about those things?
Yeah. And write
That's
those
what
down.
really
Yeah.
matters.
Rip up your old list. Rip up your old list and start thinking about how you want to feel in your relationship. Write your list based off of
Yes.
how you feel and how you want to feel. Like,
Yeah.
and sometimes you need to think about your ex while you're making that list. Think about those really low moments that you had with your ex. Or
Okay.
think about the best moments, the moments that you really thought this is what's going to make this relationship last. And sometimes you need
Right.
to think about why you stayed so long with that ex, because there were
Okay.
different moments that happened in that relationship that you really really enjoyed. If you want moments like that again in this relationship, write those things down. But
Yeah.
the key thing is you have to heal. And I feel like we said it, but we really brushed over that. But heal from your past
Hmm.
relationship, because the way that you're acting now, if you did not heal, if you were so quick to move on, if you just wanted to, push your ex out of your mind, the way that you're acting now, the way that you're living in your relationship, those moments of doubt that you have, is because you didn't
Yeah.
have real healing. There
That's
is
right.
something that hurt you deeply, and you need to
Yes.
mourn what never was. And sometimes that's hard for
Yes.
us because we don't want to
Yes.
think about it. It's over. And granted, you might be in a relationship now, and that's fine. Maybe the relationship is going fine. But before y'all move to that next stage, I urge you, take some time to heal. Because if it's not
Yeah.
showing up now in this stage of a relationship, and there are stages of a romantic relationship, there are
Hmm.
some long stages where you're like, I actually don't like you, but I'm in it
Right.
now. We locked in, like they say on TikTok. But
Right.
like, there's gonna be a moment where you're like, I'm not vibing with this. You need some more healing. You need to
Yeah.
figure out why this fight or flight response is kicking up for you. What is it
Right.
triggering in your mind? And you can still heal from something that's happened years ago if you want to
Yeah.
maintain in this relationship. That's fine. But just take
Yeah.
the step to do it. Because
Yeah.
you could be holding yourself back from really enjoying this romantic relationship that you're in because you're lacking the healing.
And Andrea, I think this needs to be taken into consideration, y'all. Is it I don't like him? Because, yeah, sometimes it get on our nerves. Oh, I don't like you right now, right?
Hmm.
Is it that I don't like him, or is it that you haven't healed from your past and you're bringing that in, thinking that he's doing the same thing the ex did, but really it's you bringing in the baggage? You don't like him because there's a part of you that's being triggered from the last relationship. It's not that he's a terrible person, but you're triggered. And you don't know how to communicate that. So you just look at
Yeah.
him like, here he go again. I can't
Hmm.
stand him. Is it
Yeah.
really that you can't stand him? Or is it that
Yeah.
you just ain't healed? Do the
Yeah.
work, y'all. Do the
Yeah.
work. Yeah.
I'm glad that you said that because
Mhm.
I think it's that. I think it's actually that. Like
Mhm.
I think there's something that you haven't figured out how to navigate yet. And I think that might have been an influence from your past relationship. Like
Yeah.
if someone isn't calling the way that they used to, but you're very well aware that they've had a lot that they're doing at work. You're aware of that.
Yeah.
But something about that is unsettling to you because maybe your ex cheated on you. Maybe these were the beginning signs that he showed when he was cheating on you. And
Yeah.
when we're thinking about healing, a lot of things that we can do in order to really experience this is talk about it. Talk about those things that are
Yes.
bothering you because when you keep it in those dark and those shadowy places in your mind, it don't see the light. Like you can't
You're
get
right
that
about
out.
that.
So you got to bring that out into the light and talk about it. Say, "Hey, I really don't want to put this on you. This is all on me, okay? But something that you do reminds me of this ex of mine, and I don't want to put this
Yeah.
on you. I really don't want to put this on you. However, when you do certain actions like avoid my phone calls or maybe send me the voicemail, it brings something up for me. And I
Right.
want to do my part of not letting it bother me, but I need to talk about it first. Something that
Yes.
would make me feel more comfortable is if you
Yeah.
sent me this. Sometimes you have to compromise on those things and you
Yeah.
have to create a solution because some things are fine to vent about and just create space, just to vent. But some things you do need to create solutions on so that you can heal. And
Yeah.
some of us don't want to heal from that and henceforth don't make no solutions. We just be talking
Right.
about it and just be like, well, that's what it is. No.
Right.
Be intentional
Right.
about your healing. Create a solution
Right.
so that you can
Right.
heal yourself.
That's right. And it takes you sitting down. That's what people are afraid of, Andrea. They're scared to really sit down and dig deep because that's what
Yeah.
it's going to take for you to get to that point where you can communicate to your partner, "Hey, this is what I need from you."
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that's what you got to spell it out. This is what I need from you. I need A, B,
Yeah.
C, and D. Because
Yeah.
once you help me with this, I can grow. I
Yeah.
that'll help me to heal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And
and a lot of the relationships, that's what it entails.
mhm. Yeah. And
Healing in
and
it.
you need to be mindful in how you respond if your partner asks you the same thing. Because I think a
Right.
lot of times when we are corrected about things, so ladies or fellas, if your partner is saying these things to you, you don't need to be
Hmm.
like, well, I ain't her. I ain't him. I'm not
Right.
doing that. Oh, so you think I'm a cheater? First of all,
Right.
why are you so offended? Is it because you have
Right.
been corrected about this behavior before? Because we
Yeah.
can talk about that. Talk about why
Yeah.
you're offended. Because that could be the first call to action. Why are you offended?
Yeah.
Check your tone. And it's okay
Yeah.
to say, but that's just me though. I'm quick to say check your tone. That's the first thing we're going to do when I'm talking to
Yeah.
you. Don't play with me. I'll fight you. But like you need to like watching how you're responding to what it is that your partner is asking of you. Because if you're
Yeah.
not, then what is you doing it for? What you in
Yeah.
this relationship for? If you're gonna get
Yeah.
offended every time like your partner gives you some feedback.
Right. Then what we doing? Why are we in this?
Yeah.
If
For
I'm
what?
gonna be constantly be offended, we don't need
Mm.
to be together because
No, we
you're
don't.
irking me and you get on
No,
my
we don't.
damn nerves. So
Hello.
we
Hello.
might need to break up. We might need
Bye.
to break up
Stay
because
up.
that's it shouldn't be like that. We
Mm-hmm.
we we
Mm-hmm.
need to get out of this, y'all. We need to get out of this cycle of
Mm-hmm.
toxicity. Stop
Yeah.
staying in relationships where you're just this person is not feeding you.
Yeah.
Get out of it. It's
Yeah.
not healthy, and
No.
keep going in the cycle. You're just setting
Mm-mm.
yourself up. You
You
really
are.
are. Yeah.
You are. You are.
Yeah.
So, if you could give our listeners some advice about how to move away from this magical world of distraction and create like some realistic goals or continue in their relationship and shifting away from being unrealistic to realistic, what would you say to them?
Um, that is a really good question, Andrea.
Mm.
That is really good. I would just say, listen, the first thing you need to do, get off social media. Goodness. You might need a break. Sometimes I take
Yeah,
a month off because I
me
can't.
too. I
Sometimes I
just
take a
can't.
month off
I
because
just
it's too
can't.
much. It's too
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
Get off social media. Sit down
Please.
with your partner and have honest conversations.
Yeah,
Stop looking.
yeah.
We need to stop looking at other couples and saying, couple goals. That's their goals. That's not your
Exactly.
goals.
And it's probably not even
Sit
theirs.
down. Exactly. Sit
Mm-hmm.
down, have honest conversations about what your goals are.
Mm-hmm.
Stop looking at other people for the definition of what it should be.
That. Ooh. Yeah.
Stop. Like
Mm-hmm.
today.
Yeah.
The minute you
Yeah.
stop doing that, you become a happier person. Because
You do.
I don't know about you, Andrea, but I know in the past I would look into other people's relationships expecting that to be it for me in relationships. And that would just
Mm-hmm.
cause me anxiety and
Yeah.
stress. Why we
Yeah.
ain't where we supposed to be or where I thought we was supposed to be. And
Mm-hmm.
they do that, why we not doing that? That you gonna set
Mm-hmm.
yourself up every time. So
Mm-hmm.
get off social media.
Yeah.
Stop looking at these celebrities because honey, they human too. They're not
Yes.
God. They're
No, they're
human
not.
beings.
Yep.
I mean, didn't we just see Megan Good and her husband just got a divorce?
Sure did.
That's
Worth
another
the
episode.
wait.
That's another episode. But
Mm-hmm.
so that in itself, and that's just one example. But that
Right.
in itself, stop
Yeah.
looking at these people for what you think a relationship or marriage should be.
Yeah.
Stop it. You
Yeah.
define that in your own. So
I
that would
agree.
just be mine. Yeah.
I agree. I think mine would be very plain, very concise, very simple. Slow down. Slow down.
Okay.
Just slow down. Just slow down. Don't rush someone into this next stage. It's going to happen. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. And I have this client and I love this kid. And I love him because he don't never give me no clear answer. He always just be like, time will tell.
Mm,
And and it irritates me, but it's very real. Time will tell, and I like it because it's so casual, but it's also very real. And
yeah.
I say that for y'all's relationships too. Time will tell. Time will tell if it's going to last. Time will tell, if you're going to move on to the next stage. So enjoy the period that you're in. And
Yeah.
marriage, if you believe that, you get married and you don't get divorced, guess what? Your marriage will be there. The
Right.
married period will be there. Enjoy
Right.
this space that you're in. I would even implore for some of y'all, if y'all have already set the intention that you're going to get married, don't talk about it no more. Actually, don't talk about it. Don't talk about it anymore. Once you have
Yeah.
decided, hey, we're going to get married, cool. Don't bring up the subject anymore. Because once you do that, that's when you re engage that magical thinking of yours. Like, oh,
Right.
well, if we don't, get married before we're 35, then we're doomed. It's like people
Stop
think
putting the age
people
on it.
it's like people think they're going to just combust if they don't get married
Right.
at a certain age, or if they
Right.
don't have a certain degree at a certain age, or if they don't have this
Right.
certain career at a certain age, or if they don't have
Yeah.
kids by this certain age. Like,
Yeah.
let things
I
just
I think
happen.
we got to get out of that.
You do, because
Yeah.
it doesn't do anything but make you more upset. And
It
that
does.
decreases all of your self loving behavior and turns it into self loathing behavior because
Yes.
you think
Yeah.
something's wrong with you and it's not.
Right.
So
Right.
let
Yeah.
time tell what the next
Love it.
stage is for you. Let time tell.
Yeah. That's actually
Yeah.
my favorite statement. Time will tell.
Time will tell.
Time will tell. Because,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I got a client myself that, going through, breakup and stuff, and the person that she was with is now married to another person.
My God.
And, in her mind it's like, well, he's over there living happily ever after. I said,
Maybe.
honey, that sounds like a fairy tale, but time will
Mm-hmm.
tell.
Time will
And that's
tell.
another thing. Just because we're married, that doesn't mean that it's gonna be forever. And I think
No.
I think we've seen that. It's
Yeah.
not forever depending on those two people
Yeah.
and what's going on in there,
And
right?
they might not have had enough conversation, enough realistic thinking
Mhm.
for it to last.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah.
be realistic, be conscious, take your time,
Yeah.
stay off social media, do all the things, y'all. Um, what is our call to action for this week?
So Andrea, I know I had a call for action, but I'm gonna mix it up.
Mix it
So
up.
the call to action, y'all, is how has Disney impacted your life in
Mm,
dating and marriage? We'd
mm.
like
Can
to
we
know.
also can we also add social media to that too?
Yes.
Yeah. Ooh, ooh.
Yeah.
And since it's February, and I know some of y'all ain't saved yourself for marriage, and that's fine because this is a judge-free zone. But also, can we
Okay.
talk about how pornography has influenced your relationship?
Andrea, we need an episode on that.
We do need an episode on that. That that might
That's a
be
good one.
an exclusive for y'all in
Yes.
February because
Yes.
pornography has influenced a lot of relationships, and we're not
It
gonna act like
has.
it hasn't.
That is true. It
Blink twice if you
has.
understand what I'm saying, y'all.
Let me
What
stop
are
being goofy, y'all.
what are our numbers? Our numbers for our listeners.
Yes, y'all. So, most importantly, if you are in crisis and you feel like you are going to harm yourself or harm someone, please call 911. But you can also, and this is nationwide, you can call the National Suicide Line at 1-800-273-8255. And if you live in Georgia, the Crisis and Access line is 1-800-715-4225. And to text, you could text NAMI to 741-741 to connect with a trained crisis counselor. And that's about it. I
Cool.
should have had the Houston one again. I don't know what I did with it. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. Our
Text Nami,
Houston
y'all.
listeners.
Text Nami, y'all.
Text Nami.
And y'all, please make sure you follow us on Instagram. And our whole videos are always on YouTube. So if you're catching this on Instagram, make sure you go on over to YouTube at Two
Yes.
Therapists Pod, and that's our same Instagram name as well.
Well, we hope y'all enjoyed.
Okay, y'all. We'll see you next time.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.